Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Matt, aka the Lumberjack Landlord. Super excited to be here on this fantastic Sunday morning. Yes, a couple of minutes late, but better late than never. It is a fantastic Sunday morning. It's been an amazing week in the real estate world of investing. Ah, man, crazy market, right? But wait, I thought it was supposed to crash. Hmm, that's a challenge. What a conundrum. Anyway, long story short, is the name of today is winners win and losers lose, because I've gotten kind of exhausted reading a lot of the dumb comments. There are so many comments out there about, oh, well, hey, it's not going to help the blah, blah, blah. It's not going to help the average investor. It's not going to help the average homeowner. What do you know? Honestly, what do you know? Are you like some multi-billionaire? Are you worth 100 million? Like, I don't know. Are you? If you are, then you fix the problem. You don't make the market. No one person makes the market. Not even one bank makes the market, except for maybe federal government, or actually the Fed. So I think at the end of the day, I think what a lot of people lose focus on is that if you're skilled up and if you're a winner, meaning that you've taken the time to educate, really know your market cold and inside and out, you've built a network that is your net worth. You have multiple brokers and home inspection people and repair guys and different contractors and agents and banks and different attorneys. When you've built up that type of network, that's the winner's win. That's the winner's winning. That's what it is. Excuse me. Too many people don't understand what it takes to really, really win. Some would make a sliding rule, right? Or sliding rule of what winning really is. And I think everyone needs to decide for themselves, what is that winning? For me, winning wasn't even financial freedom. Winning was kind of FU money. Kind of, I do whatever I want, whenever I want, how long ever, as long as I want. That was kind of for me where it was just like, it was fun. It was interesting. I was learning stuff. Some people, it's about getting out of their 9 to 5 grind. Some people, it's about getting out of their 7 to 7 grind. But again, for every single person that it's different. And so I don't begrudge smaller investors versus larger investors or whatever. I don't do any of that, because I think that everybody gets to pick what they and what their level of winning is. The key is that many people will get to 4 and they'll say, hey, no more. And others will get to 2 and say, I'm not doing any more. But it might just be because they're not that good at it. But what are you not good at? Can you skill up in those areas? Can you get better in those areas? So one of the arguments that I constantly am having with everybody is, stop whining about the market. You can't change the market. You can't change it. It's the same thing with Wall Street. It's the same thing with any market. You can't single-handedly change any market. So because you can't change the market, what you have to do is skill up. You have to know the most about your market. You have to have the most connections. You have to have the most experience. These are all things that you can strive to accomplish. And when you do, that's the winning. That's the winning formula. I understand what it takes for me to onboard a property now at 50 buildings, and we're talking small multifamilies, 2s, 3s, and 4s. What it takes for me to onboard something now is a few days. It's not a big deal. We have all the systems in place. We have all the procedures in place. We have form letters that we send to our new tenants. We know that we set aside 3 to 5 days for our maintenance folks and for different contractors to go over there and take a look at stuff. We have that system and process in place where onboarding, we're going to use, I guess, big boy terms, an asset, right? Like banks like to talk about. We're onboarding this asset. And when we onboard that asset, the key is low barrier of entry, ease, and process that lends itself to getting that asset up, going, and remaining going, starting to understand immediately, what are the bugaboos of the house? What are the tenants like? How are they to work with? Those are all the different things that people kind of miss out on. And so when I say winners win and losers lose, there's a lot of losers losing out there. And loser is a word that many people are triggered by. I would first ask you, why are you so triggered by that word? Second thing I would say is, what are you doing to change it? What I'm most proud of in the course, Lumberjack Landlord, oh shit, I'm a landlord. Now what? What I'm proud of most is that people now have demystified the process. They now have a process that is proven to work for me. As you execute through the process, we're creating ideas and concepts and efficiencies and processes that you will augment and make some of them your own. However, it's the framework. And you have to decide what's right for you as an investor. You have to decide what's right for you as a business person. Is it something that you like? Do you maybe just do it and you have to make sure there's extra margin in those deals because you're just going to give it off to a property manager? Those are all of your options. And so the thing that I want to really push people to understand is, are you making an investment in yourself? And sure, you watch a lot of the free content, mine, Dion Talks, Millennial Mike, Zoobs, that ADU guy, Christian and Cody Multifamily Strategy. You watch a lot of the free content that's out there. That's awesome. Free content's the best. And you can try and put all that stuff together. In all honesty, I can't watch all those guys, all their videos every single week. I can't even come close. Can't even come close. But I still seek out content from them, from other places, trying to learn something new that will make the game even better. So the key is understanding, one, the reason that losers lose and the reason that losing becomes a habit is because they're not learning enough. They aren't trying to own the spot, and they're letting the market dictate to them the condition. Guys, as investors, we want to be like water. We want to, nourish. I want to bring value in what I do. I want to provide nice housing for people that are looking for a nice house, that want things handled when an issue arises. I'm looking to nourish their lives, because if you can take away the stress of where someone lives, you're doing a great thing. If they can just exist and just be there, and they don't have to worry about this, that, or the other, it's hey, something rises, I'm going to call the landlord. And that's what I'm here for. Not a problem. The second thing that you need, the other attribute of water, is if any of you have ever had water in any of your properties, what does it do? Water always makes a way. It always makes a way. And that can be in flooding your basement, or that can be in flooding your first floor because a pipe burst on the second floor, or somebody overflowed for some reason a washer on the second floor. But water always finds its way, and you can always find your way. The issue is, be honest with yourself, take an account, be your own toughest critic. Recognize that some things are working well and other things aren't working well. And where do I need to better skill up? Because winners win and losers lose, and losers will continue to lose. They're waiting for the perfect spot, for the perfect moment, for the perfect, idea. And this one I can't lose. I promise you, even on can't lose, you can lose. You can absolutely lose on can't lose. The issue is that paralysis by analysis, that fear of taking that step, even though it might be wrong. I made plenty of mistakes. How do you think I built a 9-hour course? I built a 9-hour course because I made hundreds of mistakes. I won't say thousands because I don't think it's in the thousands, but I made hundreds of mistakes when rehabbing properties, when acquiring properties, when inspecting properties, when managing properties, when managing tenants, when working with lawyers, when working with code enforcement. I have made mistakes. The key is that it was, got it, learn the lesson, next. The problem that you start to have is that losers also will continue to make the same mistake, even though it's not word for word, it rhymes. Much like the economy. It's not exactly what happened last time, but it will have a level and a rhyme to it. The key that we have to have as investors and how we look at things is, of course, positive mindset. Honestly, I don't need motivation. Good. I don't need a video to pump me up in the morning. That's why I don't talk a lot about that stuff, is because I don't need it. I don't do it for people. I don't think. It's really just a matter of overcoming the fear of the unknown, overcoming the recognition that you're going to get your butt kicked. Sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes you have a tenant that costs you thousands and thousands of dollars. Sometimes you have a tenant like I've got one that I evicted that I then won a court case against that now I have to sue him again. I got to sue him again. Oh my word. But eventually he'll learn and he'll get tired of losing. And I think at the end of the day, for all of us, we need to continue to skill up. We need to continue to get better. You need to continue to make investments in yourself. I'm always talking to people about my return on my capital. Did that return on my capital, sorry, Mountain Dew can, or Diet Mountain Dew can actually. I'm always talking to everybody about best use of capital, the buck method, or my return on my capital, ROC. I talk about those things because I evaluate all things exactly the same. The first thing is basically, do I have the SWAN? This is from my good buddy, Corby Carter. Corby is the man. He was in the Lumberjack Landlord course. Corby said to me, he goes, yeah, we call that a SWAN event. It's like, interesting. I'm listening. Sleep well at night. Corby, thank you for that. Sleep well at night. So the first thing that we do is the sleep well at night ideas. We need to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We need to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a good position, that we've done everything we can to reduce and mitigate risk. That's the SWAN factor. What goes into that is fixing things when they break and having the right insurances, and also having a process and a rules by which you stick to when evaluating your tenants. This will help you sleep well at night when you know your tenants aren't morons. Now, there are plenty of moron landlords, but there are also more than a fair share of moron tenants. Quite frankly, I hope the moron tenants find the moron landlords. They deserve each other, and then they can spend life smashing each other back and forth. What I will say is this, basically to close on this thought, is the investment that you make in yourself is the most important investment you will ever make. It will make you better at business. It will make you better as a property manager. It will make you better as a landlord. It will make you better managing your property manager. Please consider the course. Take a look at the syllabus, go through it. We continue to add modules. We've got specials coming up. Actually, next week we have a special coming up. Very excited about that. And then we're going into our summer season where we're just getting people on the schedule around vacations. People take a lot of those, I guess, in the summertime, but we're getting things on the calendar with attorneys and roofers and plumbers and electricians to get you guys access to people that want to tell you the way it is, not because they're trying to sell you something, because frankly, they're not trying to sell anything. All they're trying to do is add value they've added value to me, to my life. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with all of these people that are going to be in my course over 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years of being a landlord. I want to make those folks available to you so you can ask them really pointed questions where they can make sure that, and I've told them no or I don't know is an okay answer. So you might stump them. But my guess would be that's going to be kind of hard to do. So I would tell you, consider, even if you've not bought your first property, you're just getting ready, that money that you can spend. The biggest thing I learned from our boot camp that we had every week for 12 weeks, the biggest thing that I learned and the feedback that they gave me was, I'm not scared anymore. I'm not intimidated anymore. I'm not overwhelmed anymore. I said, well, when you get in the situation, it might feel a little bit overwhelming. They said, yeah, but I feel completely differently about it because I have all these systems and resources at my fingertips. And that to me is why I built a course. That to me is what's so valuable, is when you see people see it through the end and know that they're in a better position than they would have been otherwise. So that's where we talk about winners win and losers lose. And you know, hey, at the end of the day, it's, that's going to trigger some people. I called it a case of the whatabouts. Everybody that sits there trying to fix the entire world's problems never gets anywhere. Never gets anywhere. Elon Musk didn't even try to fix the entire world's problems. He went on a couple main areas and he's winning pretty well. So what I would encourage you to do is invest in yourselves, invest in somebody who you believe in, because you're also making that investment in them teaching you. Invest in somebody that you believe in. Invest in somebody that has the results that you'd like to have. Invest in somebody that you quite frankly enjoy learning from, because let's face it, there's not a whole lot super funny or super sexy about buying a property unless that's what gets you going. And find somebody that's passionate about that. And when you do, you'll find a great teacher. You'll find somebody that's just like, yeah, I didn't consider that, or different, in a different perspective. So rant over. Hopefully that's all very helpful. Now it's time to get into those questions. And more importantly, we'll start off with our favorite, most loyal questionnaires and viewers, and that's the super chatters. Phil Nealon, you're very welcome for the Sunday show. Phil was in the Lumberjack Landlord course. Absolutely amazing. Added tons of value, works in construction. I was so thrilled that he got the value out of it that he did, and said, you know, now he makes more monthly than what the course cost him. I mean, he'll have no idea how much that meant to me, because that was the whole reason that I did it. So we'll start. And then Mad 76. Hey, Matt, if a unit has an AC window, okay, would you change it to central when maintenance need? What AC type is more maintenance efficient? Tips on brands. So the conversion over to central air really does kind of lean on a couple of areas. Here's where it leans. If your house is already forced hot air, so it already has all the duct work, then adding AC is a lot easier to do. You can certainly do it with like a Mr. Cool mini split and things like that. It's always worth pricing those things out. But very often, the AC hanging out the window, you can get a decent AC for $400 or $500, and that will last. And even better, I buy them used. I clean the filters, I'll buy them used, and I'll leave them behind in a property. And then it's like, hey, yeah, there you go. And now I know I can even mark what outlet I want them to plug it into, because it's like, hey, listen, this one we wired separately. That way we know it's not going to pop a breaker. So what I would really encourage you to do is start looking at the numbers. Start there first. I would look at AC window units, and I get it. They're not as pretty as a Mr. Cool, but an AC unit might cost $4,000 or $5,000, or an AC unit might cost $400 or $500 for a decent one, or used, you can get it for $150, or you can put in like a Mr. Cool or some sort of a mini split. Challenge there is now you're looking at probably $6,000 to $9,000, $6,000 to $9,000. What return on that capital do you get? You likely don't get one. And then you're looking at service, maintenance, repairs, all of that other stuff. And then what's really funny, I've actually had somebody complain, oh my word, the bills here are outrageous. You have 3 people working 3 different shifts in the house. The AC is always on in the summertime, literally 24/7. I was like, it's your roommate situation. It's not the system. You run it 24/7. I know. I've been over there at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, looking at something in the morning. I've been over there at 8 o'clock at night when somebody's gotten home from work. I've not been there in the middle of the night, thank God. But the other 2 times, and it was like an ice box in there. And listen, I don't judge. You're paying for it, but that's where the bill comes from. So when you're looking at brands, you can have kind of like a do-it-yourself or Mr. Cool kit. The one thing I would recommend you do if you're looking at like an install like that, I would price out beforehand, talking to contractors and making sure they know exactly what the project is going to be, because basically I think you need you'll need an electrician for probably a couple hours, and you'll probably need a refrigeration person for an hour or so, maybe 2. But I would start looking at the numbers. I think that the other thing you do, and this is where the rent box is really valuable. What does your rent box say? If you're in Florida, an AC window unit might not be realistic. You might need to add that central air to just be competitive with all your other people. In my market, yes, it's in the new stuff, but in the old stuff, it's less than 15% of the retrofitted construction around here has central air. It's usually window units. So for me, I don't think that that's the difference of renting versus not renting. I can't charge any more for it. Not really. I mean, maybe $50 a month, maybe, but that means I've got a 15-year time horizon. That's too long. So Mad, what I would tell you, I would look at the numbers. Honestly, I'd start there. I'd also look at my rent box and see how that compares to my competition in the market. Jason Ray, Matt, need the operator guru. I'm here. I'm happy to help. I won't call myself the king. I saw a couple of videos this week of people calling themselves the king of something. I kind of wanted to break my phone that I was watching them on, because I was like, bro, I know your background. You're not the king of it. I'm not even close. Not even close. I've done it 15 times more than you. And I don't call myself the king of it because I know there's people out there who've done it 25 times more than me. But I digress. Have a good tenant now, has bad boyfriend staying 2 to 3 times a week. Okay. Out in my driveway 2 to 3 times in the middle of the night doing shady stuff, likely drugs under my camera. Best way to handle. Jason Ray, that's fantastic. So what I would first have you do, give me just 1 second. Let me get to, I'm just going to mute this bad boy. The first thing that I would recommend, the first thing that I would take a look at is I'd look at your lease. What does your lease say about that? So my lease, again, don't know yours, but my lease set up by an attorney based on how I recommend to do it in my course. And I paid $0 for it. I didn't pay a dime for my lease, and it's spectacular. It's not this 30-page thing that I bought online or 18-page thing that legislates everything out but the sun. It's 7 pages of magic. It's 7 pages of magic. So the reason that I selected that, and I cover it in my course, you guys know. However, that being said, I look at my lease and there's usually 2 or 3 things that would address something like that. The first thing is observing the laws of the state. That's the first thing. So if you know that it's drugs or it's something shady, or you see him breaking into a car on camera or anything like that, all of those things, you can make an anonymous call to the police. They don't have to disclose your information. That's the first thing. The second thing is I have in all of my leases that you cannot stay more than 3 contiguous nights and that you cannot stay more than 5 nights in a month. And then I think it's even like 14 nights in a year. And if I say the best way to start that is, hey, love you as a tenant, really want to keep you, but I just want to make sure you're aware that I've seen his car here overnight a number of times and I hear him. And the concern that I have is that, we're getting to the point where it's close to a lease violation. I just wanted to make sure to have that conversation with you first. And then you can document that in email. You might be able to give them a quick call and say, when you have that conversation with them, and say, hey, so are we good? Then you know right away if you're good or not. And then you just confirm it with a confirming follow-up email. This again, procedure and what I teach in my course. So when you go down that path, can it backfire? Yeah, absolutely it can. Absolutely that can backfire. However, to that end, if it's really becoming a problem and he's a problem, then that's going to end up a problem for you. Better a problem on your timeline than on their timeline. Better a problem, because here's what happens. If they don't like what you say and they take you to court, and then their lease comes up and they say, and then you raise the lease, it doesn't matter if they can win. It only matters that they can sue you. And they can then say, hey, so we feel like this was retaliatory because he mentioned something to us, but then we mentioned something back, and then he raised our rent, and we believe that that's retaliation. Can they win? Maybe. Should they win? No. Will they win? Probably not, but does it matter? Time, effort, energy, money for an attorney, money for time, mental time. That's where that sort of stuff comes into play. So if it's something that you really feel is, progressing and not progressing in a favorable manner, I have the quick call with the really good tenant, the one that you signed on the lease. The other thing too is that it also behooves you to, say, listen, if they're staying there that much time, we would need to put them on the lease and they would need to just qualify under our qualification status. Let me know if that helps. I can go deeper into depth, but I don't know that I need to. I think that really kind of covers it. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the top and make sure to say hey to everybody. Good morning, Chester. Good morning. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Lynn. I believe that's how you say it, but you can correct me because I always like to get people's names correct. But good morning. Matthew Paris. Good morning. Don, good to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing awesome. Andy Borch. Good morning. G Lova. Hello, everyone. Mandy W. Good to have you here. Legacy Opportunity. Good to have you. Andy Borch. Hello, Matt. Update from the mildew situation that I've been bugging you about. Yeah, I found the issue. Was able to fix it fairly cheap. Thanks for the advice. Unsealed giant hole in bricked wall. My man, this is what I'm talking about. You saw what needed to be done. You went in there, you probe, you do a little bit of work and see if it's something you can do yourself. You likely saved Thousands. Yeah. Yeah. And you did it all by yourself. And I bet you should feel good about that. Hey, check the box. Cool. I just saved myself 2 months worth of profit. Don't be afraid. Google, YouTube University. If you've taken my course, there's just, guys, there's so much in there. And it's all stuff like that, having those conversations. I love that, Andy. I'm so excited for you. Keith, what's up, my man? Keith Hager. Good morning, dudes and dudettes. Back at you. Wissing, wow, I finally made a live one. Thanks for what you do. Chris, good to have you here, my man. Matt, you have to check out the book 80-20 Principle by Richard, I think that's Cook. The whole book is insightful, but chapter 4, holy cow. All right, I will take a look at it. Only if I can listen to it. I don't read. It's not that I can't. Because obviously I'm reading. Somebody actually said to me that I couldn't read. They're like, can you not read? It's like, no, I can read. They're like, prove it. I go, okay. Why do I need to prove to you I can read? I was like, watch one of my live streams. I have to read all the questions every weekend. Here's the thing that I know how to read the easiest. A deposit slip. Good morning. Glad to be here with you all. Tom Kine, I'm glad to have you. Brett Beesboer. Hope you had a happy birthday heading to church. So I'll catch the replay later when I'm working on the remodel. Brett, I did have a great birthday. It was a lot of fun. Having young kids, it's a lot of fun having a birthday. I'm not a big birthday person, kind of don't care. But when you have kids like that, they like to celebrate it. So yeah, so it's always fun. BuzzTune, morning everyone. Good morning, BuzzTune. Here doing the work, BuzzTune. I like that. Andy Borch, Matt, when doing your first house hack ever, should the mortgage payment be coming from your personal bank account or from the property's bank account right away? That's a good question. I'm trying to think of how I did it. So how we did it in the beginning, because we didn't have a trust and we didn't have an LLC, everything that we did into our account. Because it was our house. And so we didn't have it in an LLC, didn't have it in a trust. I don't know if that's correct or not. So I'd run that past a CPA. But we did everything into our account and then we deposit that, because then we could actually show a bank statement showing the income, and anything that was a repair on the property, we would pay out, but we would still actually fill it out on our taxes. And yeah, that's how we did it. But I would double check that with a CPA, only because I don't know if that was correct. House hacking wasn't really a thing 20 years ago when I started doing it. But yeah, now it's a name and now it's a thing. Anna K, good morning, Matt and everyone. Good morning, Anna K. Scott Coleman, a year older and a year wiser. Yeah, I think so. I think so. You can't help but learn every single year when you try and keep on pushing the envelope. That's for dang sure. Wealth building journey. That's Chester. The problem is shame. Yep. We all make mistakes. Regardless, the question is, how do we handle failure? 100%. With humility, the elite 20%, or with embarrassment and ego, the 80% who never learn. So true. And I smash people all the time on social media about that stuff. Like all the time. I know lots of people, they're just like, well, if they learned or if they failed, then they're bound to, come back. No, they aren't. There's lots of losers out there. There's lots of people that fail and never come back. You got to choose and purpose that you're going to come back and that you're going to use that as a life lesson. Life's not over if you fail. It doesn't matter how big the failure is. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Do you know that many millionaires go bankrupt? Many. But what did they do? They pushed it too far one time. They were over here and over there and extended over here and over, but all of that happens. Here's the key. They learned from it. They changed their systems. I almost went bankrupt in the 07, 08, 09 debacle. It happened. My job revenues fell in half. I made half what I was making. The property stuff, it's my famous story. I went from 8 paying tenants to 3 paying tenants to 1 paying tenant. I was going to work every single day and maxing out credit cards just so I could pay those mortgages and try and get them fixed up so I could get new tenants in there. I just save up to evict people. That's how crazy it got. But what would I tell you? I would tell you that, yeah, those things made me stronger, made me better. The best thing is people are like, oh, you're going to lose it this time. You're going to lose it this time. No, I'm not. You know what I'm going to be doing? Be buying your shit. Yep. I'm not going to lose it this time. I'm going to be buying your stuff. And I'm going to love buying your stuff. Yeah, because you got over levered, too cocky, didn't know what you're doing, and you thought the market only went up, and you built all those assumptions into your spreadsheet. So I'm going to enjoy buying all your stuff. Yep, I am going to love it. Good morning, T. Good morning, T. Oh, there's a Lumberjack Landlord course. Thank you for posting that, Chester. I appreciate it. To Matt's last point, knowledge is power, and knowledge is the difference between having enough confidence in taking action and inaction. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. No one would ever accuse me of being well-educated. You can't accuse me of being well-educated. I'm a ninth grade dropout. I am likely the least educated person you know. Probably. I am probably the least educated person you know. And I won't say I'm the wealthiest person you know, but I'm pretty good. I'm probably in your top 5, maybe, but maybe I'm not. But if I am, right, you're surrounding yourself by someone that you like what they did and want to follow that because they got there on that path. 1, 2, they clearly, education in a formal sense clearly didn't matter. One of my favorite questions that I get that I've always gotten during job interviews is, so I don't see your education here. Yep. I didn't go to college. No stuttering. I'm just matter of fact about it. I didn't go to college. Oh, well, so then how do you feel about college? My favorite answer. So you didn't go to college? Nope. I didn't go to college. Well, so how do you feel about college? I don't hold it against the people that work for me, whether they did or didn't go. I'm more concerned about the result and how they are as a teammate to work with. Yeah, that's my answer. Because in some cases, I've seen, there was this one guy on a sales team, a little bit of a story time. One guy on a sales team, this guy was super educated, MBA from a world-renowned international business school, and a couple of other follow-up masters, right? Unbelievably educated. Yep. I wasn't even educated enough to be able to understand the education things that all the education things he had. Amazing. Amazing. Do you know that I kicked his ass every single month and every single quarter in sales for the 2 years we were on the same team? Yeah. I buried him. Why? Because he thought that it was all about his education and creating process in the deal and it getting political and blah, 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 blah. You know what? People buy from people, and he wasn't a normal person anymore. People buy from people, and people buy with who they trust and where there's alignment. The best reps are the ones that say no to business. I don't have to hang on for dear life to bad business. I just tell them, you know what, based on what we've talked about, I don't think we're a good fit for you. If you were looking at this, this, and this, I think we're a great fit for that. You won't find anybody better in those areas. But in this area, I'm just telling you the flat out truth. It just isn't, it's not a great fit for us. And it wouldn't be a great fit for you. I need happy customers, because whether they're happy or unhappy, it's far more likely if they're unhappy, they're going to tell 100 of their friends how much we sucked. Well, I get a lot of referrals. So the one thing that I would tell you is you need to yourself skill up. You need to educate specifically in the skill that you're looking to grow in. And that will give you confidence, and then you will take action, and action beats inaction anytime. I talk to a lot of talkers, and I spend time with a lot of doers. Because a lot of people talk, but not many people do. Andy Borch, hey Matt, when your tenants sign their leases, do they do so online or on a physical paper? Any recommendations? DocuSign. That's what I use. Doorloop has something. I just like the power that I have in DocuSign better. Yep, DocuSign. And DocuSign, I think you can get I want to say you can get it really cheap, maybe like $10 a month or something like that if you do only 4 or 5 leases a month. So that's the big difference. I upgraded to the higher, more expensive one because we have chunks. Like we do a lot of leases in April, a lot in May, a lot in July, a lot in August. And so I had to reach to the high watermark. So I think I might pay $300 a year for DocuSign, $250 a year for DocuSign, worth its weight in gold. All of my documents are there. They're in the library. You can create a template where it makes it very easy to get something out. Yeah, just makes it really straightforward. So DocuSign is what I would recommend. Oh my goodness. There were a lot of questions. Sorry, guys. But yeah, great question, Jason Ray. BuzzTune, what are your thoughts on properties with retaining walls or built on slopes? Is there any foundational things to watch out for to avoid? Yeah, I think the big thing is you just want to make sure that there's no movement. There's plenty of houses that are built in the hillsides that are totally fine. But you also want to check for making sure that like the sewer line, if it goes to the town, depending on where the slope is, that it's properly angled back towards the road. Because even if it's just slightly not, it can give you a backup easier. But you really just want to look at the construction of things. You want to make sure that they built the extra thick wall into the hill. Drainage is a big thing on those. Obviously you have the natural drainage, but the key is you don't want erosion, so it's really, those are the things. But yeah, stuff I've owned houses in fact, my house is on a hill, the house I live in now. I'm not concerned that it's ever going to go anywhere. In an earthquake, maybe, but not as it stands now. So yeah, good question, but not natural anything. The big thing you need to be looking at is drainage. And if the basement gets wet, when does it get wet? Why does it get wet? You'd be surprised. Probably 85% of basement water issues can be prevented by good old fashioned gutters and drains. Like it's amazing how many can be fixed like that. Matt, what was the flooring LVP distributor you used? I used American Flooring. Full disclosure, I haven't bought from them in a year. The reason that I bought like 8,000 square feet, but the product that I just bought from my local place was only a little bit more expensive, but they could deliver stuff for me within 24 hours. So I started using one of my local guys. I talked to them. I said, hey, I'm a construction company. And so this is what I need. And I said, if you'll give me contractor pricing, I said, or installer pricing, I said, I will. He asked, how many square feet a year are you going to do? They don't always ask that, by the way. But if you have a trust or if you have an LLC, you can use that. Or if you have a business, because that all comes with an EIN. And that EIN is what they take down for the information. But that's why, for me, one of the things I recommend in my course, you don't have to do it, but I have a trust. And the reason that I recommend that is because it gives me the ability I get contracts with all of our vendors. Guys, on those $700,000 worth of construction projects, I would have spent another $100,000 in materials had I not had those relationships. It's money in the bank. And that's at my size, but even at a smaller size, wouldn't you love to have an extra $4,000 to $5,000 of income that year when you did a project? Yeah, of course you would. Well, my windows were $29,000 on a project, or they were $35,000. I got them down to $29,000 with my discount. And I get them delivered for free right to the door. So I don't have to pay somebody to go pick it up, the handyman, anybody else, then it gets damaged on the way, and then let the fiasco begin. So that's what I would encourage you guys to do. That works out really well for me. So yeah, American Flooring Corporation is who I use, but I haven't bought from them in about a year. What I would look at is I would look at local yards too. That's what with these guys, I was working with an installer. I asked them where they bought their stuff. They said they bought it from here. And so that's how I found these guys, and they're not great price, but they're pretty well priced. They're wholesale to me. So the rest is good enough. Matt Bittner, does Section 8 pay above market in your area? No, not even close. They're like 10 to 20% less. And that's also with them doing a 10 to 20% override. The gap is Grand Canyon-esque. TBS 24. It's near impossible to pierce the corporate veil on a house hack. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, again, never say never, but it's not about, so it's not too often people think about, can they? They can, but the bigger issue that you have to defend it. That's the bigger issue. So a lot of what you do needs to be with the guise of, it's not whether or not if I get sued, I lose. It's whether or not I can get sued. That's the issue. That's why you typically want people that you get a good feel from when you're interviewing tenants. I've got somebody just outside my office, guys. Hold on one quick second. I promise I'll be right back. I sadly don't have any hold music, so you're just going to have to wait for just a second. Okay. Remember that thing that used to be the meme? A few moments later. Here I am. Jason Ray. Matt, yes, I added the no more than 3 days in a row, but did 30 in a year. So I think I'll approach as add him to the lease. Okay. May not want background check anyway. Yeah, I think the key is you just got to know who's in your unit, right? But yeah, I mean, if she's a great tenant and he's just coming around, the other thing that I would do too is I would just say it does cost extra money if you want to nickel and dime that way. And then I would just amend the lease and just say, listen, it's twice as many showers, it's twice as many this, it's twice as many that. When we have roommate situations where there's 4 or 5 or 4 roommates and they're like, hey, we want to add a fifth. I'm like, okay, I won't charge you the full amount, but I need another $150 a month to cover the additional expenses, water, sewer, wear and tear on the machines, like laundry machines and refrigerator, and, the door being open 20% more, kind of all that stuff. And so that's what I do. And that's what puts me in a pretty good position. Then I get an extra $150 a month. And then everybody's happy because their number goes down, right? They're actually happy about it. Dividend Dave. Sorry, I'm late. Can we? No. No matter how much you super chat, we can't do that. Can't start over. Thanks for all the supers, everyone. Yeah, thanks, guys. I will take street smarts over education anytime. Don, dead on, man. Dead on. Street smarts every single time. 100 out of 100. Yep. Let's see. Matt Bittner, you're uneducated landlord. Thank you. That is actually an honor. I love Simon. I love uneducated economists. I think he is the real deal. I know he's the real deal. He's bringing you truth. He's bringing you fact. He's just awesome. I'm just so thrilled. So thrilled that I know him. I respect the hell out of the guy. I think uneducated economist is absolutely fantastic at what he does. And more people would be a lot less stupid if they watched his stuff. Fact. Just absolute fact. Smash the like button, Michael Diaz, Mad 76. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Paula Silva, good morning. Good morning. Financial firefighter, good morning, Mark. Good to have you here. Wealth building journey. There are many different kinds of skills to learn. Yep. And the educated, i.e. undergrad, postgrad, only think that the only skills that have any value are those that someone could learn in the classroom. Very true. Art T, when you inherit a new tenant and say the old property owner didn't have a lease or has a month-to-month lease, do you immediately get them on your lease? No, I don't. No, I don't. Art, that's a great question. Good question. I don't rush to get them on a lease. I want to see if they're good. Do they pay on time? Do they complain about everything? Do I get complaints about them? If I'm house hacking, are they difficult to have as a neighbor? I want to know. And I want to give it, I don't want to give it like 30 days. I want to give it 90 days, 90, 120 days. That's what I want to give it. I want to give it a little bit of time. And I also want time because I want to show them I'm a good landlord. I'm going to start doing some projects around the house. We send out the letter saying, hey, talk to us about a few things. We got one thing back and it was like, there were 17 things on the list. I was like, yep. What was really funny, here's how that one worked out. 17 things were on the list of things that they wanted fixed. 3 or 4 of them were reasonable asks. We actually did those. The other ones, absolutely not. So they then persisted. And so I gave them a notice that I'm going to rehab the unit in 30 days. And if they sue me, I go to court and I go, Your Honor, they even cited all of these things that need to be done in the unit. I can't do those things with them in the unit. I need the unit back so I can remodel it. Hope that was worth it. Hope it was worth it. Listen, people like smart. They don't like clever, admittedly. Other landlords will think that that's funny. Tenants will hate me for it. And P.S., I don't care. It is what it is. This is a go along and get along thing. Because they'll be the first person to complain about the rents going up. They'll be the first person to be like, oh yeah, you finally fixed those 4 things, but what about the other 4 things? And no, I'm not paying any more rent. Listen, then don't do me any favors. I'm doing you a favor. I literally have somebody that doesn't say the word boo to me, but lets me know when there's a problem. And they are under market about 25%. Now, every 6 months we do a review, or every 3 months probably is better. Every 3 months we do a review and we're like, okay, these are the next set of units that need to go up in price because they were inherited tenants or because we have the right crews available to in the next 30 to 45 days to remodel that unit. That's the way that we have to look at some of this stuff. We do not buy property to quickly go to evict tenants. We have some tenants, some older tenants that are in their 80s and they pay $750 a month rent on their unit. And it's worth $1,200 all day long. We don't run to evict people, but what we do want, we want participants. We want participants. We want people that tell us when something's wrong. We want somebody that's on time with their rent. And if there is a real issue to reach out to us, and real issue doesn't mean any issue. Real issue can mean, and am I the one that deems whether or not it's a real issue? I certainly I don't deem it whether it's a real issue or not, but I deem of what the criticality of the issue is. Do I need to get somebody out there, or urgency? Do I need to get somebody out there this morning? Probably not. Water? Yep. Leak? Yep. Fire? Yep. Electricity? Yep. Refrigerator goes out? Yep. Dishwasher? Nope. Stove? Nope. Microwave? Nope. Not if they have a stove. Something we will get to. We'll get to in the next few days, but fridge is a big thing. Fridge is one of those things where we actually we have an extra fridge ready and waiting that we will move into a place so they don't lose their food. Like we do the very best we can for them on that stuff. Yep. We had it happen this year where we had 2 go within like a day or 2 of each other. And so I lost my hot swap fridge. It's horrible. So Art, that's a great question. Do not push to get them on the lease fast. Just see how they are. Because here's the other thing. When you see that they're great for 90 or 120 days, I love to give them a lease and I want to give them a great price on their lease too. No turnover. No turnover. I want to limit turnover. I don't want to eliminate turnover. If you're eliminating turnover, you are losing money. You are losing money. And you likely have some tenants that are not grateful that you're taking a hit. You likely do. And so for the people that understand, hey, this is business and we're working on this together, man, love it. For the ones that have the attitude of entitlement and they think that I'm there for their pleasure, I am not. We're in this together. A wealth building journey. That's the biggest flaw with classroom learning. They suffer from the myopia, of book learning vice experiential learning. 100% correct. That's what I tell people all the time. I was like, where'd you read that, in a book? Or it's like the Crash Bros reading charts. Please get in the market. Talk to people with experience, you pinheads. Nakodon, have you heard when the new FMR is coming out? Yeah, the new FMR comes out in October. It usually comes out in October. It's usually effective. It's effective usually January 1, and then some housing authorities will push for it to become available immediately. So yeah, great question, Don. Keith Hager, to keep from commingling, sorry, to keep from ninth grade dropout. To keep from commingling funds, should I have an interest-bearing account set up for cash flow rent versus another for deposits? So by law, and you have to check with your state, I believe the rule is, and check with your CPA, we didn't have to do that until we had 10. We didn't have to do that until we had 10. So then we would put deposits. After that, we started putting deposits in a separate account. So we have a secondary account with deposits that are well into the six figures sitting there. Yes, no joke. Dividend Day with the super chat. Let me just scroll. I saw Tom Kine super chat. Sorry. All right. Sorry. Dividend Dave. GE stove burner burning hotter than its setting. Replace burner, but still doing it. No warranty suggestions. Call an appliance repair guy. Explain to him exactly. Take a picture. Always have Dividend Dave. You're in my course. You know this. You're the man. You take a picture of the tag. You document your unit. You take a picture of the tags of all the appliances and you put them in a little folder that says appliances and then the address for there. So you have an address folder type, or you have a folder that has the address, and then you have subfolders. And in that subfolder, you actually have what all your appliances tag stickers. I take that, I send that to my appliance guy, say, here's what it is. He'll come back to me. And if it's a coded date where it doesn't give September of 2017, if it's a coded date and he comes back and goes, dude, stove is 23 years old. I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's like, so I can probably fix it based on what you're explaining to me, that problem being it's probably $150 to $200 fix. I'm better off spending $700 on a brand new stove because the thing's 25, 30 years old. So as I always say, document your unit. You're taking a picture of all the different tags of all of the different appliances. As you're taking a picture of those tags, you're putting those in a folder. That gives you the idea, an understanding of exactly how old it is. Should I fix it, or should I then put that thing on Craigslist, maybe get 50 or $100 for it? Literally, I sell old appliances all the time, and I tell people what's wrong with it. Just like I was told it needs this. So that's why I'm willing to sell it for 50 or $100. And for them, right, for a person putting it in their place, they might say, well, hell, that's $1,000 stove. He's selling it for $150 to $250 part. I just got $1,000 stove for $400. And they might not care about how old it is. So that's where I share that information, but I sell old appliances all the time. And then there's other ones that I actually tuck away. I keep them. So yeah, you can't just fix any of these old appliances. You definitely need to go through the process. Make sure that you're not, chasing good money with bad. Tom Kind, are you going to watch are you going to Vegas to watch the cage match? I am not going to Vegas to watch the cage match. I think you're talking about the new fighting league, maybe. I watched UFC before it was really UFC. And so when it was just like the brawling fights, that was barbaric, admittedly. But holy Toledo, those guys would beat the tar out of each other. So no plans to go to Vegas right now. We were going to go to Vegas. We were going to try and go before the winter time. But I think we're probably waiting and probably going back, depending on how the winter looks. We'll probably go back January, February of next year again. It's just a great time for us to go because it's frigid cold here. None of my staff here takes vacations in the wintertime. And when I say staff, I politely refer to them as that, but they're my contractors. And so if there's an issue, they can kind of really take over for a couple of weeks. And so I can be really far and away and not have to worry about it. Yes, good question, Don. Yeah, it was a great question. Elon Musk and Zuckerberg cage match fights. Oh, is that actually happening? I heard they were taunting each other. You know what Musk's secret move is? It's called the walrus. He just sits on you. No joke, swear. That's true. No one's asking the real questions. What type of cage and what type of match? True story, right? I know. Talk about guys where the rubber meets the road and the devil's in the details. Legacy up. Driving home from Midwest, had a turnover. Tenant abandoned property and shut off utilities. Damn it. I worked my magic and got a new tenant in without any lost days of rent. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's great. That's a great story. That's an awesome story. Yeah. Wealth building journey. Yeah. A few moments later. Hey, Key. Good morning. Key, another amazing legacy from the Landlord Boot Camp. Corby Carter. Oh, we're hitting it in trips. Corby Carter's here too. Corby, I mentioned you at the beginning of the video. You can certainly watch and rewind. I appreciate the Swan reference. Sleep well at night. Ned Talks. There's the third of the triumvirate. Simon's channel. Yep. Uneducated economist. Yeah. Simon's the man, guys. I'm telling you, he's pretty dialed in. Do yourselves a favor and subscribe. Totally agree with that. 100%. Ned Talks. You are clever. I know. I know. Some people don't like clever. I like clever unless it's used against me. And then I take notes. Somebody got me on a clever. I'm not sure if I ever shared this story. Somebody got me on a clever. So I was buying a house, or a building actually, was buying this building, and I walked it with the property manager. And we walked with the property manager, and there were three old heating systems in the building. And I don't want those things lying around. They're just a pain in the ass. They're heavy to move. And they cost money to move. So I said to the guys, the property manager, who's a woman, I said to the property manager, I said, yeah, I want the three old heating systems out of the place. And she goes, okay, sounds good. And they were furnaces. They were furnaces. They were furnaces. And so I get it come over, and it's like, it says, get the furnaces. Two of them were furnaces and one of them was a boiler. Oh, you know where I'm going with this one. I got doll haired. I go do the final inspection on the walkthrough, and I go, why is this one still here? She goes, I don't know. She told me they were getting rid of it. I was like, okay. So she calls and she goes, I'm not telling him that. I'm not telling him that. I'm not telling him that. She hangs up, and I go, what are you not telling me? She goes, they're not taking it out. I go, they were here yesterday taking it out. Why not? She goes, I don't even want to say. And I'd become friendly with her through the process. She was very nice, very capable. Very just a good person to work with, good quality people. And she goes, I said, so why? She goes, because it's not a furnace. I go, what? She goes, it's a boiler. I'm like, I know. We talked about the heating system. She goes, I know. She goes, I made a mistake on the paperwork and I wrote boiler, or I wrote furnace. And I was like, that's true. You did. I looked at it and I signed it, and it's what happened. And so I got. He didn't have to take it. He didn't have to take it. So I called him and I said, really, Bill? And he goes, really what? I go, you're really not going to take that one? He goes, nope. He goes, well, you don't have to close, but then I keep your deposit. I'm like, well, Bill, I respect it. You got me. You got me. You got me. He got me. Way it goes. He got me. So he got me. So yeah, he clevered me. He clevered me. He got me. He won. Leonie Carone. Good morning, Lumberjack. We love your channel. Yui's mom. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad you love my channel. Your son's amazing. I don't care about YouTube subscribers probably as much as I should, admittedly, but he's doing such a service to people. I love his stuff, and I'm always honored to work with him. I think he's fantastic. The wealth building journey. Thank you, Dividend Dave. Yes. Paul Kastner, great advice on appliances. Hey, thanks, Paul. Um, let's see. Ned talks. I have one tenant always go out of my way to help. Jerry. Yep. He helps us with all the little things around the complex, trash, gossip in the complex and neighborhood. Couple others that are great too. So important, guys. I have a guy like that, and I'm thankful he doesn't mind his own business. I try not to tell him that, like, because I don't want him getting like a false sense of power where it's like, yeah, they were doing X, you need to throw them out. Like, because then he could just have a disagreement with them. But we evicted one person in that smaller complex, and he was like, thank you. He's like, really, thank you. And I said, it was truly my pleasure. It cost me thousands of dollars. Sorry, sister-in-law. Higher duty calls. My sister-in-law is awesome. She's a lot of fun. When she graduated college, she actually moved home for a little bit. Then she moved in with me and Ashley. That's awesome. Millennium Mike. Hey, Bob, how you doing? AKA Mrs. Lumberjack, my staff. No, you know who the staff is. You know who the staff is. I would never call Ashley that, because trust me on this, she's not doing work when she's away. That's for dang sure. Let's see. Paul Kastner, I can fix about anything, but after running property management, found tenants swap things. Yeah, so true. Yep, so true. I've seen that. Yep. Wealth building journey. I know here in Maryland, that's a hard and fast rule. Separate deposits from others' funds from day one. Yep, there's severe penalties for violating that. It's part of the state revised code. Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's state to state. The other thing to look at too, though, is that house hacking might make a difference, but I don't know. That's why you really have to look at the state by state stuff. And even like I said, when we were doing it 20 years ago, I don't know if that was the wrong thing. We still filed taxes on the income because we showed the income coming in and what it was for. But it could have been wrong from an account setup perspective. Nicodon, I make an Excel spreadsheet for each property. I had listing colors. Yep. Appliances, date, cost, flooring, anything associated with the unit. That's exactly right. What I teach in my course is a concept called property management insourcing. It is invaluable. If you set up a unit the way that I show you how to set up a unit with insourcing, you will be in 1,000 times better position. You will get your appliances fixed the right way and on time. You will not get the wrong parts ordered. You will be able to, without even going on site, fix many of the things that need to be fixed, and it saves you money immensely. And it takes only about 2 or 3 hours to properly document an entire unit. You're better off doing it now. You're better off doing it when you remember it, when you have receipts, when you know when you bought stuff, taking pictures of tags. That one thing, in fact, I think Phil Nealon, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm pretty sure he said that that was the best thing in the course for him. And he said there were like 5 or 6 things, but that one for him was the best because distance to his units, not having to go double check and then go get something and then come back, or then have to go order something and then go back. You can make replacing a part a week and a half long thing. Guess what? Now you don't have to worry about it. Pretty awesome, right? So yeah, that works immensely, but I go through everything, the way that we document our units. We're in the process of redocumenting a bunch of our newer stuff because as we go through and we upgrade, we mark everything down, everything. And you'll see how exhaustive my list gets. But guess what? That means I can buy stuff in bulk. That means that I can buy something and say, yeah, but we've got these 4 units that are going to need it in the next 6 to 12 months. I might as well buy it all now, get a much bigger discount. And then when those units come ready, I've got the stuff sitting there ready, waiting. And that can be something when you're small. Yeah, I keep it in my own basement, or I keep it in the basement of that house, or I figure something like that out. When you're bigger, even if you have to do a storage unit that might be $100 a month, that $1,200 a year, you'll probably save $5,000 a year in discounts when you start to get even that size. But yeah, you can totally scale, or you can commandeer one of the bays in your garage, or you can do a shed, or any number of different things. Ned talks, all of the great ones we have been in their units for years. Yep, it's their home, and we have to remember to respect that if they respect us. Yeah, our business and the process. 100% agree. Paul Castor, no quote on, got to get nerdy about things, record everything. Absolutely. Michelle Meyer, hello, friends. Hello, Michelle. Paul Jensen, I love clever. Haha. Hi, Matt. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the thumb ups. Yeah, he got me on that clever one. I was like, son of a bitch. Last night dreamt I was a muffler, woke up exhausted. Thank you, Dave. That's priceless. Mandy W, new rental house has a gas furnace from the 70s. Okay. Still works though, worth replacing just because of age, or leave it in place till it dies? So that's a great question. So if it is a gas furnace, what you do need to make sure you get done is you get your good HVAC company to come in there and clean it. And when they clean it, they need to tell you if that thing has been meticulously maintained, you could get years and years and years out of it. If it's not meticulously maintained, it's starting to, guess what? You want to replace it in the summertime, not in the wintertime, right? You don't want that thing to be on its last legs going into the wintertime. So the best way that you can do that is hire somebody to do a cleaning. And that's what I do. I get our gas stuff cleaned every 2 to 3 years. I get our oil stuff cleaned every year. And that way we're keeping up on it. We just had him go clean one and he goes, oh, dude. And I was like, no, don't say that. He's like, dude. I was like, no. I was like, we got to do a new one, don't we? He goes, yeah. It's like, oh. Unlike Dion, I don't rejoice because my tenant paid for it. I still get bummed about paying for it with their money. But yeah, we had to replace it. We actually had to replace 3 this wintertime or this summertime. Sorry. 1 is done. 1. Yeah. 1's done. 2 done. Yeah. Do we do the other one? Yeah, that one's done. So we got 1 left. We got 1 left to do. I mean, that's $30,000 this summer I spent on new systems. But guess what? Going into the season, we should have checked all the boxes. There might be a bugaboo somewhere, but we've checked all the boxes and now we're probably in good shape. So it's good. So yeah, Mandy, that's what I would do. I would have it cleaned and inspected. But I would just say clean, just say, hey, could you just make notes on it? Because it's a new system to me. I just need you to make notes on it, and then just let me know what those notes are. Sammy Farho, good morning, sir. Paul Kastner, I like clutter. All the furnaces in one of my properties just needed new control boards, and despite looking like rusty crap, work well after basic repairs. True. These were EOL. There was nothing worth salvaging off of those things because the burners were gone and those furnaces were ancient. And I didn't have any other. So to that point though, I didn't have any other matching. So when we have a system in play and another one dies, that we will actually leave behind. That's a great point, Paul. It's a great point. We will actually leave those behind because we can use it as a boneyard. We have this one boiler that we made the mistake of buying. We put 3 of them in or 4 of them in, and within 5 years, 2 of them had failed. We saved those 2. The plumber that I used to service them was finding other dead ones in the field. We have a little boneyard of those. One of those just saved me a $2,000 repair because we were able to pull the board from that one. A great idea. Yep. Ned talks. LOL. I know, right? Paul Jensen, you got out clevered about your heat. Yeah, I did. Yep. But how will that affect your relationship with him in the future? I'll buy more. I'll buy more from him. Here's how, listen, fences make good neighbors, contract make good business partners. He got me. He really did. He really did. Sort of. Here's how he really got me. He got me on that one. He absolutely won the battle. I concede. He got me. He out clevered me on that one. When did I buy that? November. Since November, we've got 3 out of the 5 units in that building are emptied. One unit went from 1,000 to 1,600. Another unit is going to go from 1,200 to 1,800. And then the other unit is going to go from 1,000 to 1,400. We didn't raise the rent on those tenants. We basically made a bunch of repairs in the building and we just said, hey, we're going to be going up in rent. And so now's probably the time for you to start looking. If you want to stay, this is what we're thinking. And we just had the conversation with them, and then 2 of them left. And then the other 2 will be out sooner. We didn't buy it with the intent of tossing them, but the other ones have ended up being the 2 that we got rid of soon or soonish, within 8 months of the building, stopped paying rent. So they were evicted. Yeah. Idea with neglected furnaces from the 50s with mercury switches, not efficient, but cast iron heat exchangers last forever. Yeah. Fans motors, yeah, are easy to service. Very true. SK, how do I gather down payment for my next rental purchase? W-2 funds the primary and living expenses, and current rentals break even and interest rates are high to do any cash out refi. Yep. So it's the type of deal that you buy. You're either buying no down payment or low down payment because you're moving into. So that will always, so when you don't have down payment money, here's what you have to do. You have to do deals that don't require down payment. So either a VA loan or maybe an agricultural loan if it's a rural area. 2 is seller financing where they can build all of it in. 3 is an investor where you borrow the down payment money and then you're able to refi out when if the numbers already work when the rates are high, and the rates are generally speaking high, you can borrow the money for the down payment and then use that money from the hard money lender to borrow to buy the house. And then you can make your repairs and do whatever work you need to do, or raise rents because the rents are too low or whatever that process is. But you do need to have some money in liquid. So the down payment is the thing that slows you down the most, but it's because when you're buying with a bank loan, you need that down payment. Seller financing, usually you can get them to seller finance the entire thing, or you borrow. You can borrow from friends and family. You can borrow at a rate of X percent, or you can go hard money, which is kind of expensive, or you can go, you could do a HELOC against your other property and then lever that way. Again, paying a higher percentage debt, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a lot of ways to do it, but none of them are particularly good ways. And quite frankly, the bank wants to see you season. They want to see you season your portfolio. They want to see you season that. So, SK, I'll just take this one. How many sub 2 deals have you done where you take advantage of seller's interest rate? One. I've only done 1 sub 2. I've done 3 seller finance, and I've got number 4 and number 5 that are in the works right now. So yeah. I'm finding no on-market deals being offered with sub 2. Yeah, they wouldn't. If they're on market, it's very unlikely that they're going to do a sub 2 deal. Very unlikely, like minuscule, unless it's been on the market for some time, because they all want to test out the market. They want to see what they can get from the market, but then it's driving down price. I had my broker reach out on one that we're going to try and do either a sub 2 or a seller finance. We'll wait and we'll see if we hear anything back. Keith Hager, we had a heat exchanger blow in our own house. Yep. Flames were blowing out the vents. Yep. Had to get a hotel for 3 nights. Scary as hell. Yeah, totally get it. 100% agree with you. Flavio Macias. Hopefully that's close to right. Flavio, good to have you in the channel. Appreciate you asking a question. Good morning. When you buy a new building, do you do new contracts to raise the rent? In Washington, I only raise the rent 10% per year. 10% is a lot. That's a lot. That probably means you're a newer landlord, because that's not the reality from if you've been a landlord for a couple of decades. We had 5 or 6 years where it was pretty flat. Depends on the market, but I don't put people under lease right away. If they have an existing lease, I can't trump that lease, number one, unless I give them better rate and term, which they want, but I'm not giving them better rate and term. Why? Because their rent's going to go up and they'll hold on to that rent as long as they possibly can. I want to see for 90 to 120 days, are they good to work with? If they're good to work with, I don't mind giving them a modest raise, because the goal isn't to kick out tenants. It's just not. The goal is to improve the financial, the financial position of the building, at the same time reducing turnover. That's the trick. You don't want to constantly be rolling tenants. You don't want to constantly be having to paint a unit every year and redo the floors and this, that, and the other. You can't constantly be doing that. And so it's what I call the BS to money ratio. The goal isn't to just get tenants out flat out. We have some tenants that are well under market, and we will reevaluate, because we never want to just go to everybody and say, everybody out, or everybody's going to this crazy number, and then have a bunch of people start not paying. The idea is slow and measured, and we start at the biggest issues and go to the smallest ones. And I'd say we probably right now have, I'd say probably 30% of our units are under market price, 30% right now. Yep. We actually, we just did a list last week and we just picked our top 10 because the top 10 is always easy. It's always top of head. It's the ones that nag the most, the ones that reach out the most. If they're paying a premium rent, then they're paying for that service. If they are nags and they are difficult to deal with and we get complaints about them from the neighbor, and PS, by the way, they also have low rent, well, then that's pretty easy. You know, that's pretty easy. That's just academic. So let me know if that answers your question, Flavio. But yeah, that's kind of, I mean, guys, always great questions, always here, happy to answer those. I've got 13 minutes left. It is hot here today. It is like 83 degrees here today, which is the nicest it's been in a long time. But yeah, kind of crazy. But yeah, you guys have 12 more minutes to ask your questions, and I'm happy to handle those. If you're in the course, there's an event next week. If you're not in the course, there's only 3 boot camp spots still available. 3. We had a bunch of folks upgrade, and I believe we haven't selected this week. We were supposed to come out with it this week, but we had a couple things come up in the schedule where we have to account for them. So we want to do a time that's different than the last time. We used to run it at 1:30 on Sundays. We're going to do a different time this time to make sure we always go majority rules. And that way, if you were in the last boot camp and weren't able to attend anything more than a couple of classes, 1 or 2, we want to make sure you're in this boot camp. And so we're going to get feedback from those folks of one time that will work best for everybody. We have some people that are going to sign up for the boot camp again. I don't blame you. That's probably the best value on the internet ever. $500 before it goes up to $1,000. It's $500 on top of the price of the course. And that was 27 hours of recorded video that I'm paying editing to go through and post in that section. Flavio, yes. Awesome. Love that. Good. SK, where's best to find good seller financing properties? You have to create them on your own. You have to know your market. There's no, like, if it were that easy, right, they would post them to MLS. That's the issue. You know, I work with wholesalers. I work with retailers and they bring them to me before they bring them to market. However, now with the supply in the market, they don't bring them to me before they bring them to market anymore. And if they do, it's some outrageous price because they're like, ah, crap, if I can get that from an investor, like, why not just do that deal? And so, yeah, if it were easy, everybody would do it. And that's why, Pace Morby charges like $17,000 for his course. You have to find a way. There's properties there's companies like Batch Leads and PropStream, but you have to really get into hunting deals and bumping into wholesalers and things like that. The funny thing is wholesalers need to make their spread, right? But if you can basically give back some of that spread and you can still at least get a deal, and it's better than buying it market on retail. That was good, Ned. I'm going to read that. Hold on one second. Keith Hager, how often do your maintenance check air filters in the HVAC units? Once a year. We swap them. We don't even check them. We just swap them. That's the fastest thing that kills your system is lack of airflow. Yep. We just swap them. Yeah. We buy a big box of like 20 filters and we just swap them. Scott Coleman, have you ever considered buying storage rentals? Yes. Yep. There was a big boom where I was. It was kind of awesome to watch, actually. The big boom that happened where I was they had one big corporate got in the area, built their own. After they built their own, they bought up 4 mom and pops. There was another big corporate that came into the area. They bought the biggest one, probably overpaid for it. That's fine. And then they bought the other 2 mom and pops. So now there are effectively 0 mom and pops in this market, and storage prices have gone up 70%. That's how crazy that got. So I will do it. Haven't done it yet. I'm looking for the right opportunity. Same thing with a mobile home park. I'll buy a mobile home park someday. Haven't bought one yet. Didn't like the numbers on the 2 that I've seen so far. Ned talks, you merely adopted the heat. That is so true. I was born in the heat and humidity, molded by it. And yes, it sucks. LOL, New Orleans. Yeah. Yeah. Trust me. Never a comparison. Ever. Shred. Thanks, Matt. No questions, but thanks for helpful hints on appliances. I'll be doing the cataloging today. Awesome. Shred. That's great. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's a big saver. It's a big saver because you know what they say? You know what the appliance guy said? What's the first thing the appliance guy says when you call him? Sure. What's the problem? Do you hear the model number? No. If you got it there, that's one of the most important things. We teach you how to document. I think it's like 17 things in the unit that you need to document. 17 or 18. But that's definitely a top 3 is the appliance tags. Yep. Take a picture of those appliance tags. Again, if you're a new landlord or even a seasoned landlord, one of the most important things you can do to help reduce the cost of managing your business is taking pictures of the appliance tags so you have them available for your fix-it folks when you make the call. That way they'll bring the right tool and it will guarantee that you're paying less money for that repair. SK, what's the main reason to get seller financing deal? To get around bank not giving you a loan or better rate? Terms. It can be anything. A buddy of mine, buddy of the channels, Rich Racine out of Manchester, he just locked up a deal at 4%, 30-year fixed. The seller got out of it what they wanted. They wanted a deposit. The deposit would have been the same amount for the bank, but he got 4% money, 30-year fixed. Couldn't ask for better. That thing cash flows like a killer. You know, cash flows like a killer because everybody else would look at it with 7% money. He gets to look at it with 4% money. It makes a whole lot more sense. It makes a lot more money. Makes a lot more money. In that case, you can sometimes even overpay a little bit if you're getting a 30-year fixed rate debt at 4 points. Paul Kastner, ever deal with any of those funny Honeywell aluminum electronic air filters? I have a few and tell tenants to run the cells through their dishwasher every month. I don't. Thankfully, I've not ever worked with those. Nope. Nope, I haven't. SK, what type of loan do you typically get for buying rentals from 10 plus to get to 100? I made a bank. You can watch on my channel. I did a video called I Made a Product with My Bank. I even share the slide presentation there where you can download the slides I did and how I positioned it and pitched it to my bank. I did that and they let me, they created a product for me. So I get 30-year fixed rate debt on 4 units and less, even though I'm buying my, 51st building. So you can also use commercial debt, but commercial debt's just more expensive. I don't get less than 7-year arms. I won't do a 3. I won't do a 1. I won't do a 3. Maybe I do a 5 depending. But I won't do a 2, a 1 or a 3, 1, 2 or 3. No, and mostly not a 5, usually 7. But again, it's also percentage of my portfolio because 80%, 85% of my portfolio is fixed. And the stuff that isn't fixed is big enough income earner that even when the rates go from 4 to 7, I still make money. I just make less. Yep. Shred, speaking of how, I'm finishing a Denver rental now. Nice. However, heading to Palm Desert. Cool. Palm Desert, nice. Next week, average temp for July is 110. Yeah, dude. Desert was in the word. That's hot, bro. That's hot. That is hot. JNYC, message retracted. Oh, I'd have read your message. Let me think. I think that's everything for this week, guys. Like, there's not a whole lot else. Like, teaser. Yeah, I got the teaser. Minimum 7-year fix for commercial, typically 10-year balloon for me. Yep. Yeah, see if I can get away from the balloons. I try to, because then my hand is forced where I have to do something unless their hand is forced and they're like, hey, if you don't take this debt, but then if they're in first position, they can take back the property. If they're in second position, then they're kind of hand forced. So that's good. But yeah, big teaser this week, huge news. This is the biggest project I've ever done in my career, ever. I won't be able to, it won't be next week. It'll probably be 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now, I'll announce it because we will be closed. But it is the biggest, most ambitious, craziest project I've ever taken in my career ever. It's over the top. It is insanity. It is insanity. It is intensity in 10 cities. It is absurd. Yeah. Big, big, big. Big, big, big. Huge, Massive, huge. The wealth building journey. One of the hidden most difficult axioms of life. We have to learn what we need to learn to be successful on our own. Yep. Even when learning from others, i.e. tailored customized learning. True story. Yeah. That's the other thing too, is that if you can make your education, if you can learn what you need to learn on somebody else's dime or on a fractionalized dime of your own, it's a far better path. I would have grown. I would have twice the number of units I have now if I didn't go through between 04 and 09. I would be twice the size. Units, not person. What's your take on Meet Kevin selling off all of his rental properties over the last year? Yeah, I don't think Kevin's Kevin likes to think he's a real estate guy. He's a YouTuber. He's not a real estate guy. He's a YouTuber. He teaches his course, and that's cute. I've had friends that have talked about his course. They weren't thrilled. It's all right. It's pretty expensive for what it is. I think that, yeah, I mean, I think he's a YouTuber. I think he got far more into stocks. He makes far more money off of his channel. He did it right getting into it, but then obviously got away from it. And I think he should have sold them all off. Me personally, you believe whatever you want. I wouldn't do business in California. I worked in Silicon Valley for a decade, maybe a little bit more. I wouldn't do business in California. That's just me. I think that they're too arbitrary with their rules. And often it goes after the people that can afford to write checks. And being that person, it took me a long time to get there. I know of a ton of entrepreneurs, business people that they're all the money and it's leaving the state, and they're going to have record deficits in the next couple of years. And I'd like to see how they're going to fix that. Let's see. So yeah, so I think that he's a smart guy. So he evaluated the last thing I'll say about him selling off his stuff. He's a smart guy. He evaluated the market. It's probably the right time for him to sell. It really is. I don't know. I don't know. He probably needs to put money into his ventures, househack.com and some of that stuff. We'll see how it goes. Smart guy, smart guy. I wish him all the best. I hope it works out. JNYC, are foreclosures some newbie should consider? Yeah, you can. The challenge is that they won't usually turn on the water. They won't turn on systems. You can do a foreclosure, but you can also get got. You really can. And the reason that you can really get got is because when those systems are off, you don't know how long they've been off. You don't know the condition of, likely if somebody losing their house, they weren't maintaining systems. They weren't having them cleaned. They weren't having them taken care of. So it's a risk. It's definitely a risk, but that's where I get more into the not hiring an inspector, but hiring pros for an hour, hour and a half for them to go through everything. So it's basically like inspection by committee. I'll have my roofer come, I'll have my plumber come, I'll have my electrician come, I'll have the construction stuff I can usually look at myself. So, but I used to have a guy who had 30 years experience in construction to come out and say, hey, how bad is this? If there was a foundation thing, I'd have my foundation guy come. But that's where your network is your net worth. So instead of getting that one fell swoop report, I would then get 7 or 6 individual reports that I would then use to purchase the asset. But then the guys that are doing the repair work are the guys that need to do the upgrade. I didn't do that on one of my last ones, maybe 3 or 4 ago. And hold on one second. But that was the one big mistake that I made. The big mistake that I made was my plumber would have seen that the system wasn't properly set up based on the spec of the vendor. And so it was right for some other systems. It wasn't right for the way this system was designed. And so it meant that it didn't last very long. That boiler only lasted 8 years. It only lasted 8 years. Yeah. And that's how I didn't get got, like they didn't know anything. They didn't do it on purpose. But that's why that system started failing. Let's see. It's difficult until we have the aha moment. True wealth building journey for sure. But yeah, JMIC, it's something you can look at, but it's definitely something that there is risk associated for sure. Look up, that one prospers by being brave, yet when others are afraid, and afraid when others are brave. The correctness of the Warren Buffett phrase. True story. That is the correct phrase. Ned talks. Also, anyone still considering the course, Matt already saved me tens of thousands, and it's going to be a lot more than that in the next few years. Ned, that's so true. And I love that you said that. I appreciate that. But yeah, tens of thousands. I know one person right now from the course as actually saving about $7,000 a month. With rent increases, based on how we talk about rent increases, with policy changes, with unit updates and upgrades being done on a budget. Guys, I'm telling you, this unlocks something for people. Bones 1318. How do you own property out of state when you live in California? I don't live in California. Nope. You can barely get me to visit California. Yeah, don't live in California. Paul Kastner, foreclosures are great if they haven't been stripped. Yep, I'm running several and living in one. Everything is old and shitty, but it's all there for less than 30K. Yeah, it depends on the market, right? Some markets you can get foreclosures for 20 and 30K. In my market, there's a foreclosure. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath house for $300,000. It needs probably 100 grand worth of work. And at the end of the day, it's probably worth 400. So right now it's a net even house. So no investor is going to buy that, but the person that wants to buy something and live in it and make it kind of their own with 100 grand. Yeah, that makes sense. They should buy with a construction loan. The problem is most of those foreclosure sales, you're not going to be able to buy them with a construction loan. So it's one of those things. Used appliances are 50% the cost of new ones, sometimes less. Like we've found stuff on Facebook Marketplace that was, 3 and 4 years old, that was 20% the cost, and it was a good quality unit. They were just like, we bought our new one already. This one's just taking up space. So I don't care if we're getting $200 or $250 for a $1,300, $1,400 stove. So yeah. Do you recommend replacing failed appliances and rentals with used appliances with 3-month guarantee, or a new one with 1 to 2 year warranty? No, because there's not a whole lot that breaks in 1 to 2 years, except for the two certain brands that I bring up in my course all the time. It really depends on the specific appliance itself. And so from our perspective, we're trying to reduce the drag, i.e. the number of phone calls we get, the number of issues we have to solve. And so, if we find a really good appliance that's 2 or 3 years old, we believe that life expectancy is usually 10, 12 years on a lot of those appliances. So if we can get it for 20% the cost, yeah, we'll do that. If it's 50% the cost, no, not interested. I'll just buy the new one and I'll take the shot on the warranty. But usually the 3 or 4 brands we buy the most of, we have not had a warranty issue with. We've not had anything that we've ever had go wrong with them fall into warranty. It's like the actuarials on a hot water tank. The likelihood that you're going to got there, it's going to happen right afterwards. So true. Nicole Weigel, good to have you here. I don't think the average homeowner really takes care of their systems. It's true. They assume they work fine until they don't. That's exactly right. Nicole's nailed it. That's exactly right. And that's why there are those conscientious homeowners where they get premiums for their houses, right? However, many of them don't. Many of them don't clean their oil furnace every year. Usually what you'll find is older folks will, because they recognize that they want to take good care of things. They're not built in disposable nation. They were built in times when things were built to last if you just take care of them. So they take care of them. So they drive a 20-year-old car with 37,000 miles on it that still runs like a top, because they still bring it in for their scheduled maintenance all the time. Same thing with their furnaces, their boilers, all of that stuff. That's one of the things that really bums me out, is that we had bought a house from an estate. When we bought it from the estate, the boiler had been replaced in the last 2 years. And then I saw the bill for it and it was egregious. It was like $17,000. That she literally saw the company on TV, called them, said it's not working. They came in, they swapped that out with 17 grand. That was a $12,000 job all day long. They could get 17 grand because they have to. They sponsor things, names all over their vans. I get it, but you're paying for that. That's why I much prefer the guy that doesn't have this massive, huge fleet of trucks that has to have all this overhead in the office that has to get paid, but has to get paid by what they're charging out in the field. So I like to find that happy medium. But anyway, that's just me. I digress. So like I would tell you guys, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. I really hope that you guys check out the syllabus. There are only 3 spots remaining in the next coming boot camp, which will start in the next few weeks. And I'm telling you, value beyond value, value beyond value. We hope to get you guys in that class because, like Ned said, I've saved tens of thousands of dollars, and Matt's going to save me a whole lot more. Phil Nealand, save him over $1,000 a month. One other one, $7,000 a month. I know that this will make a difference in your business. Shred, I was a plumber for 17 years. Water heater rule is 7 years. Yeah, true story. Then when an issue arises, always replace with new. Totally agree with that. You're hearing it from a plumber. That's the truth right there. SK, what are top 5 maintenance things you do in your own rentals for upkeep, even when they're not broken yet? All in my course. All in my course. I'd spend 40 minutes taking you through it, but it's all there in the course. Paul Kastner, from what I found, if the tenants are paying for utilities, use old inefficient appliances that are reliable. Yep. My parents are still using a Maytag washroom from 1986 that cleaned my diapers. There you go. Hi, Lumberjack. Do you use cash or accrual accounting? Do I use cash or accrual accounting? I have no idea, in all honesty. I have no idea what my I don't know, truthfully. I have an EA, an enrolled agent. I have a CPA. And so all we do is fill out all of our paperwork. Here is all of the spend that we had this year associated with the properties. And then we give him all of that information. So I honestly don't know. I don't know. I hand him a couple hundred pages. He turns it into 300 pages. And then we file. It honestly took me learning about the importance of maintenance in the U.S. Navy. Yep. Jay-Z quote now makes sense. If you can't buy 5 of them, you can't afford 1. True story. Most likely cash accounting basis. I believe so, but I'm not 100%. Not 100%. That's the only reason. I'll only answer if I know for sure. And so I believe it's cash, but I'm not positive. But again, that's all based on the strategy that I set up with my accounting firm and my attorney, and understanding. All I care is about understanding the result, because for them, I lean on them to say, based on what your goal is, here is the best approach. So that's really where we focus. And I'm like Chester said, I believe it's cash accounting, but I'm not 100% positive. So I can't tell you, but thank you for the super chat. I use cash accounting too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'll double check for you because I should probably know that. But we just recently changed accountants in the last 2 years. Bob Langworthy, Maine Bean Counters, best in the business. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's just phenomenal. He's absolutely amazing to work with. So I can't encourage you enough to have an enrolled agent on your team, have a CPA on your team, and have someone that owns rentals in those positions, because they'll be up to date on all the rules, up to date on all the credits, up to date on all the nasty things coming down the path and why you might need to change the way you do business. That is becoming an elite operator, is having those things in place. For years, I had the wrong accountant, admittedly, and it was 100% my fault. I had the wrong accountant. I was too afraid to fire him. And I should have fired him 7 years ago, and I didn't. And it cost me tens of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands. Big mistake. It probably cost me 6 figures, is my guess. Unless otherwise set up as a C Corp or an S Corp. Yeah, no, yeah, we're not set up that way. That's why I think the accrual accounting, I believe you're correct. I think that is more under the LLC and the S Corp, and we are not set up that way. So awesome. You guys have a fantastic week. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up, like button on the way out, but also just check out the syllabus. It'll make you better. And yeah, I want to see those last 3 boot camp slots filled up so we can get this thing scheduled and get input from everybody on when they can make the course. But yeah, super excited. Hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Watch Dion's live stream Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and Millennial Mike whenever he decides he's going to do one, which he's very busy. He's very busy saving Seattle. So I hope you guys are fantastic. Have a great week, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.